gang. Hey, nothing but love and respect. You might have some cool fans, but mine are the best. We've been through it all, went to war when duty called. Never left a man behind, we move as one is super strong. I don't want followers, that implies I'm the leader. I'm not the captain, I just gave them something they can believe in. I hold the lamp in the darkness, but they're the light that I needed to see the road that we walk in between the angels and demons. And my fans have my back. Hate us if your feelings don't like facts. And my fans will fight back. Beat you with the keyboard you've been using to write back. I guess we need each other like both sides of the battery. We the army, we the homies, we the gang, we the cavalry. We're brothers and sisters, we hold it down like we gravity. Can't nobody break the bond that made us all family.
Me and my fans, we don't care what anybody say. Middle fingers to whoever in the way, man. Me and my fans, we gon' be together to the grave. It's the game till forever and a day, man. Me and my fans, we don't even trip in the hate. We the I don't give a fuck in our veins, man. Me and my fans,
We the hangover gang. Gang, 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 gang.
Oklahoma weather can dish out some of the worst punishment in the world. Hi everyone, I'm meteorologist Tuttle. But now you can fight back by installing Class 4 impact-resistant shingles from Ferguson Roof Systems. These shingles can withstand large hail, heavy rain, and hurricane-force winds, all while keeping your home safe and dry. And the best part? This upgrade is completely free for many homeowners. So call today to start reaping the benefits these Class 4 shingles bring, including a discount on home insurance. Only at FergusonRoofSystems.com.
Hey everyone, meteorologist Tuttle with you. It is time once again to get down to details. We're talking about the winter storm coming in here for tonight. We'll see what's changed, if anything, in the data. We'll see how much precipitation you're going to see, what form it's going to be in, if you're going to have trouble on the roadways, all that kind of stuff. So thanks for joining me. Make sure you like and share this video. Tell your friends and family about AT's weather. They can come here to get their alternate weather source without having to watch the news. If you don't like the news, or maybe if you do like the news, you want to watch both. It's fine with me. To each their own, but I will at least give you the details you can expect with the little science behind it, so you can kind of learn as we go along, and you can become little mini meteorologists yourself. That's kind of neat. All right, let's take a look at what we have out there. Oh, first off, before I get started, again on Facebook, I like to do this is post a link for you guys to get notified directly from me when I do go live, in case you are getting notified late. Also, good to see you guys on YouTube, as always, checking in. So good to see you there. And also on Twitter. Welcome to AT's Weather. All right, so let's see. First thing I want to do here. Clouds have rolled in case you haven't noticed. And the temperatures are falling. So we've got a northeast wind here. It's been sometimes getting up to around about, we can call it about 10 miles per hour. I've had some gusts a little higher than that. And that's probably going to stay the same for a little bit. It's going to kind of gust a little bit higher as we go overnight into tomorrow. My temperatures dropped to 28 degrees. Once I hit about 6 o'clock, I hit into the 32.x degree range, and then it kind of continued to fall after that. So I was below freezing by 7 o'clock here at the house, and it's just going to get just a little bit colder from here on out. All right, what we have right now is some cloud cover that is developing across western Oklahoma. So this is the beginning stages of the cloud tops getting colder, which means precipitation is trying to get generated aloft, and that'll be the case as we head throughout the remainder of tonight and tomorrow. You can also see this little white edge here, this little leading edge. That's actually the cold air mass sagging southward. So the satellite picture shows us a couple of things here. The sagging cold air moving into northwest Texas right here, just west of Dallas-Fort Worth, through Abilene and out toward the hill country. And then we also have the developing cloud cover as the storm system works in from the west. So a lot going on in just one satellite picture. Now underneath those clouds, we do have some snow here in the southern and central Kansas. So pretty good snow up there. What we have here over Oklahoma probably is just the beginning stage of some little light flurries trying to get going, especially out here in the west. Temperatures you can see across the state here are into the 20s. We do have the freezing point here in Tulsa, also down to just west of Muskogee in Okemah. Almost to freezing down around Ada and around Pauls Valley, and then 30 degrees in Lawton. So this colder air will continue to slowly work its way to the south. As far as any drizzle is concerned, I haven't quite seen a whole lot develop yet, but the radar is starting to show a lot more of these little light echoes showing up, which means the lowest part of the atmosphere is finally starting to saturate, so some pockets of freezing drizzle should get going, along with a little bit of that light snow. We are under big purple color. Big purple color stands for a winter weather advisory. What that means is it's not quite a winter storm criteria, but it is enough to be a nuisance and to cause some problems. So the early look at the snowfall amounts from the National Weather Service today had indicated some higher amounts up to the north than here in central, and then of course lighter amounts down south. Now the question is this going to be accurate? In other words, do we need to modify this? And the answer is going to be yes, which we actually talked about at lunchtime today. I disagreed with some of these higher amounts up here to the north, and we'll show you why here in a minute. Same thing for Tulsa, also kind of a higher amounts to the north and lighter amounts to the south, but again, I think we're going to alternate these as well. So stay tuned for the update here in a moment. The snow impact is still going to be quite high overnight tonight into tomorrow across most of Oklahoma, parts of Missouri and Arkansas. So what they call it a minor impact with some pockets of moderate impacts. This would be for a little bit of that icing accumulation, but also just from some heavier snow in some of the orographic lifting areas. Now, the front, as we talked about, is through the state. If I draw a little line on here for you, we do have a north-northwest wind way down here in the southeast Oklahoma. So that front continues to press now down along the Red River. And as we said, cold air is filtering in behind it. Temperatures out here to the teens in the Panhandle. All right, now the models grouping still show a nice 1-inch plus mark here over Oklahoma City. We'll get to that on another view here in just a moment. Let's see here. What else I want to show you? Let's just jump on into this. The upper level system is still out to the west coming in. So that little batch of energy you see right there. Moving through into Texas and Oklahoma, stretching on up to the Great Lakes by tomorrow afternoon. So that will put an end to the system. But also, keep in mind here as we go through time, I'm going to show what happens here on Monday. You see this little guy right here? That's going to zip in here for Monday afternoon. So we are looking for a little bit of light rain probably to develop as this thing moves on by. That's also going to help to kick the winds up over the weekend. So if you've been watching my lives, you've seen those winds gusting over 40 miles per hour in the data. All right, so here's a look at the timeline as far as the kickstart of precipitation. So out there currently, the brighter the colors, the more lift you have at the lower levels to get that precipitation going. And you can see the brighter colors anchored mostly out to our west here overnight through the daybreak hours. Then they kind of move into central Oklahoma. So here's 6 o'clock in the morning, for example. And then it starts to kind of move into central and eastern Oklahoma for the middle part of the morning. And then by the time we head to lunchtime, you can see now it's moving out of western Oklahoma. Barely anything left over here over Oklahoma City, for example. Now moving into North Texas and Tulsa and Arkansas. And then as we head into the afternoon, there's 3 and 4 o'clock. It's moving into far eastern Oklahoma. And then it's out of the state pretty much by 6. So that is a timeline on when we will have our precipitation move through. You can always gauge the time and start and end of your precipitation based off the 700 millibar vertical velocity pattern. A little tidbit from me to you if you'd like to be an armchair meteorologist and do-it-yourselfer. I'm a DIY guy, so I know a lot of you are out there, so there you go. Now you can do it with weather. All right, here's a look at tonight. The little warm nose is going to help to provide that wintry mix through about overnight time into about 5 o'clock in the morning. Has it just to the south of Tulsa to right around Norman. So in other words, the models have closed our opportunity for this little bit of that freezing drizzle, light freezing rain mixture, which is good news. That means more snow and less of the little icing underneath. But that still continues out south where temperatures are warmer in here. It's in other words, plus 4 degrees Celsius at a few thousand feet off the ground. That's why you get that little wintry mix. Whereas if you have a minus 5 degrees Celsius, a few 1,000 feet off the ground, that's below freezing, so that's below zero, so it's going to be all snow in that case. Okay, so that hasn't changed either. We've talked about that for several days. Here's the timeline on how things ought to go here. Now, the model is already indicating, because of that cold air moving a little bit faster than what it had earlier predicted over the last couple of days, is trying to get that transition to go mostly snow here for central, northern, northeastern Oklahoma. And it's already starting to show up here by 10 o'clock, starting to see those light echoes. Remember, we showed you the radar a minute ago, which did show that was kind of starting to develop. So that's about right on time. As we head overnight, here's midnight, starts to continue to develop out to the west and up to the north and east. Heavier band up here in northwestern Oklahoma. And then as we head into the 2 and 3 o'clock hour, the precipitation starts to break out a little heavier by 5 o'clock. So unfortunately, as we head to drive time tomorrow morning, that is when the worst, the heaviest, moves into central Oklahoma. You can see how it's mostly snow, though, because that cold air has moved in by that point in time. Still some sleet, maybe a little bit of light wintry mix down here in southern Oklahoma, around the Lawton area, and say south of Pauls Valley. Through 7, there's 8 o'clock, so Tulsa's getting on the action. So we head into 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 in the morning. Noontime, still got some good snows coming in. One last gasp here over the greater Oklahoma City metro area, extending out to the southwest. And also there's a wintry mix down there in southeast Oklahoma, the nice little heavy dosing down from around McAllister, south and east in the model data through 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. So what happens is the moisture, the tail end of that upper level trough axis that I showed you, there's almost tries to get a closed low in western North Texas, and then as it comes into across, say, the North Texas area, it has a little bit better lift with it, and it's going to help to squeeze a little bit more dynamics and moisture, which indicates a better, heavier precipitation amount in a brief burst for southeast Oklahoma. And that's how that can surprise you and get a little extra snow down there when otherwise, in the earlier data, you weren't quite looking that way. A little change in the jet stream, which sometimes the models won't pick up on for 24 hours before a storm, can make all the difference, especially when talking about winter weather. All right, so let's see. That's how that wraps up by the evening. As always, this has been the case, hasn't changed since. A very light glazing, a little bit of light freezing rain and drizzle overnight into early tomorrow morning throughout most of central, southern, eastern Oklahoma. Just enough to get those roadways a little icy. So be careful out there on the roadways tonight. And then, of course, with the fresh snow, a lot of you can drive well in the snow. That's fine. I get it. Some of you can't. You know your limits. I don't have to tell you. You know well if you can handle it or not. All right, so here's a look at the snowfall amounts just from the high-resolution HER model. And I want to show you why I kind of didn't like that idea of the heavier snows up here in northern Oklahoma, because look at this, almost like a little dry area. Whereas you get a better concentration from bounded between about 412, Highway 412 east-west out of Enid, to about I-40 east and west across the state, up toward Tulsa and Bartlesville, and then back down here into southeast Oklahoma. There's that little extra lift I talked about. And these amounts down here is up around 2, 3, 4 inches, maybe 5 inches of snow. I mean, that's ridiculous, but hey, it is what it is. And the models had gradually been kind of showing these little highlights, but they're really getting aggressive here in tonight's data. But it does show at least a widespread 1 to 2 inches in this region, which is good. Southwest Oklahoma, just not much. I mean, some flurries. You get that little mixture we talked about in the radar data in the morning, so you're going to get a little something. It's just this says 0, but it's going to be a little bit more than that. And we can take a look at other surrounding models for this region, kind of give you an idea how they break down. So that was the one model we just looked at. Here's a different one. So you can see it has snow, just a little bit of it down south into North Texas. So that's obviously more likely than the one we looked at. That high resolution does okay for heavier amounts, but doesn't do well for light amounts. This one, same kind of look. You can see how it's kind of broken up some of the different areas of the heavy stuff there in northeastern, eastern Oklahoma and southeastern Oklahoma. Same thing with this one. Here's another one, same idea. There's the NAM, same idea. And the Canadian, kind of an outlier here. It doesn't have a whole lot down in southeast. It has more of it back up to the north and west. And we're going to take a look at the European as well, because I think the European also has a pretty good idea, and that's what this one is. And believe it or not, it focuses the best action right along I-40, kind of similar to what we looked at with that high-resolution HER. And then here's a little hint down here in the southeast. And this model isn't good at picking up orographic lifting and other little intricacies. It's a global model, so it's not like what we call a mesoscale or high-resolution model. But it has kind of a similar output and much lower up here to the north. So every model is going to have its problem with snowfall forecasting, and that's why a lot of times 26 degrees. Yeah, we're still going. And let's see here. Had a little computer freak out there for a minute. Lunchtime on Friday, we're looking at about 28 degrees, and by the time we head into the afternoon, we'll probably hit the low 30s. I think 35 might be pushing it, but it's going to be a cold day regardless. You're going to have some wind to go with it, so we're looking at a wind chill values in the teens and single digits Friday morning at 7 o'clock when you head on out. And for lunchtime, we're still looking at teens out there across the state. And, of course, with temperatures warming up in the afternoon a little bit and the wind starting to die down, won't be as bad, but wind chill values still into the 20s across most of Oklahoma. Now, we talked about the winds kicking in. I'll show you the wind gusts here through this event. So up around 20 or so miles per hour tonight, gusting up to 30 for tomorrow. And then tomorrow afternoon, they calm down, move out to the south and east. Look at that. They go almost quiet tomorrow evening, almost calm to nothing as we head into Saturday morning. And then they start to pick up Saturday afternoon out across western Oklahoma. So up around 20 miles per hour. So it's good kite flying weather, but a little chilly. You probably don't want to fly a kite in this weather. And then on Saturday evening, they get cranking. We're in the 30s to 40s again. And then look what happens as we get into Sunday. So here's Sunday afternoon, 30s to 40s. As we head into Sunday evening, look at that. Gusts up around 50. My goodness. Now, a lot of this is what we call low-level jet type winds, so some of it won't quite mix down the surface, but it'll be really windy just a hair up, a few hundred feet up off the ground. And there'll be times where some of this kind of bursts through and does hit the surface at random times. But otherwise, those are the gusty winds here for the latter part of our weekend. And the Monday, as that system moves in, we can show you that. Let's see. Do I want to show you? Or did it go? Hold on. Oh, it crashed on me. I knew something crashed. My computer went a little nuts. So that's okay. We can't have it all, Aaron. Can't have it all. All right, so here's a look. That's why I got to build another one. I talked about that at noon today. The price of building a new gaming PC with the latest and greatest. Oh my gosh. I need to get a third job. So anyway, cold on Friday. Saturday, a nice rebound from the teens into the 50s. In some areas in western Oklahoma, 40s in eastern Oklahoma. Kind of we're on the split here in Oklahoma City. We'll call it even 50 probably. But then a good looking Sunday, but remember windy, and then it stays windy, and the next front comes in. Oh, by the way, there should be a little bit of rain here we talked about. And the next front comes in probably on Thursday. We'll probably little showers, maybe even a couple thunderstorms. I didn't look any details of the data as far as anything like that for severe weather, although we are in that time of the year. And if you do want to hang back in a couple minutes, I'll take a peek just to see what the data shows. But I wanted to get through just this storm system, as that was my main deal for you guys, to make sure you knew what to expect for Friday. So if you're late, I see Candy's already asking about Shawnee. And then I already got Dallas in here. So I already try to get as many as I can. Okay, so here's your 30-second recap. First off, in Dallas, no problems. I think the precipitation, you will get a little wintry mix down there in the afternoon, but right now it looks, temperatures are kind of questionable. And the roads are still pretty warm, so I think it'll be okay. It'll be a short-lived window. We'll look. I can tell you what, we can take a look at that in more detail in a minute. I didn't look at it in this evening's data, just from what I saw in prior stuff from days before. We'll take one look at that. So if you want to hang back for that. Timing, again, tonight, anytime starting now onward, light snow, freezing drizzle starts to develop, a little bit of light rain, so late night driving, just keep that in mind, be careful. The snow will pick up overnight into tomorrow morning, so for your drive time here in central, western, southern Oklahoma, even northeast toward Tulsa, especially in the latter part of that morning commute, that's when the heavier snow starts to move in. Snows through lunchtime, so about 1 o'clock, maybe 2, starts to wrap up here in central Oklahoma and also northeast, but continues in southeast Oklahoma for the rest of the afternoon. Amounts are going to vary anywhere from 1 to 2 inches here in really the I-40 corridor. And there's going to be pockets of 3, and that could include someone here in Oklahoma City or nearby. Shawnee, for example. The models won't know, but someone's going to get a little excited in that region. Same thing up around Tulsa, northeast Oklahoma. Someone's going to get about 3. The models really like about just east of McAllister, in that little section there toward the Arkansas border, maybe getting out 4 in a couple of those little hot spots. So there's going to be pockets of those little 3 to 4s around, but 1 to 2 is a good general estimate overall for this system. Unless you live in southwest Oklahoma, you're not going to get much, still dusting, maybe half an inch. And then northern Oklahoma, along the Kansas state line, about an inch, so is probably a good estimation there. But I can tell you this, snowfall forecasting is problematic, always has been, probably always will be, at least in my lifetime, and most of yours. If the world still exists, maybe the next generation can solve the problem. But we can give you the range of it and let you know there's going to be some travel problems. That's what I wanted to do. I knew I was forgetting something, so let me do that here real quick, and then we can look at a couple of areas that you guys had talked about. So hang on here a second. Let's see. Close this, close this, close this. All right, so if you go to my website, aarontutleweather.com, you go to the weather data tab, and you click on multi-state road conditions. And on this, I'll have the soil temperatures up here, which won't really matter so much this time around because it's going to be a short window where we have trouble. So the afternoon on Friday should improve. It's hard to tell you the exact time when it'll improve, but it will improve versus the morning drive. But what you want to see is on the Oklahoma road conditions map, you can click on any of these little pictures, and you can get a real life view of what the roadways look like from the working crews. All right, so you can find if they're snow covered, ice covered, if there's cars in the ditch, and this will light up like a Christmas tree tonight and tomorrow. And then same thing here with the traffic cameras. You can click on these guys and it'll pull up a live traffic camera, and you can maximize it, and you can see how fast traffic is moving along. And you can do this all across the state of Oklahoma. You can even do it for Kansas. Remember, Kansas got the snow north or in southern parts of Kansas right now, so you can check those guys out. You got Missouri on here, so you can check out you guys in Missouri. Texas, I've got they're on here as well. You can click on this, and it'll show you the traffic cameras from the Dallas area, for example, in North Texas. And I've got a link on here for Arkansas, and then what you can do before you hit the road. Little tips there, safety tips for you. Okay, so let me see here. Let me jump to, before I look at Dallas, let me just scan through your questions, by the way. Informal greeting. I see you on YouTube. Thank you so much for the tip. You're quite welcome. Appreciate when you guys do that. Let's see. Did he say a little science? Greg, I'm a chemist by trade, and this is a lot of science. Yeah, here's the deal. If you watch me long enough, you'll start to pick up on everything that I tell you. And you'll start getting a repetitive pattern of, and you'll start to pick up on it. So when I say certain terms, like, oh, I know what that is now, you know. So I know it's a lot to take in at first, but if you hang with me over time, you're gonna get a lot smarter, and you're gonna be able to pick out bogus information, or you're gonna be able to pick out weak information from other sources, and you're gonna be able to like, that's not what AT showed me. I saw that, and we looked at this, we looked at that, and that's not what it says. And then you can argue with the TV or the internet, whatever you want to do. Just have some fun with it. Let's see. Oh, John wants to know, is it going to be a wet or dry snow? So this particular case, it's our average snow. It's supposed to be about a 10-to-1 ratio, so it's right on the normal line. So it shouldn't be one way or the other, just right in the middle. So you should be able to eat it if you want it. And there's I got a snow ice cream recipe on there. Sorry, I was showing my YouTube there. Look at the comments. But it's got a snow ice cream recipe on there. And then I posted a video of that a while back. It's been going viral. And seeing some of the comments on there, they're hysterical. It's way down the wall, so I don't even know where it is right now. But as far as building a snowman, you should be able to make at least a little one out there. Okay, so let me think here. Let me go to your Facebook comments here real quick. By the way, thank you for the stars tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I see you out there. CL says, hit me up with North Arkansas. Okay, so we'll do Dallas, and we'll do Arkansas, and we'll see what the snow looks like up there. All right. Okay, so that's what we'll do, and then I'll probably get on out, because Daniel wants to know, driving from Dallas after midnight. Okay, so let's do that. All right. So we talked about the state of Oklahoma. Temperatures into the 30s, right, and 20s, behind the colder air. We're starting to get some of that lighter snow echo starting to show up on the radar beam. So that's the beginning stages. If you look down in Dallas, you notice you are a lot warmer. You're 55 degrees. So you guys mentioned, are you traveling tonight? Any problems? Well, no problems here and no problems here. When you get up to about Paul's Valley, it's when you hit the freezing line, and you're not far from Oklahoma City at that point in time. And depending on when you leave, you're probably going to run into a little bit of freezing drizzle. So once you get to this point, you have to be real careful. It may be so light that a lot of it still evaporates off the roadways, and the wind kind of blows it off, dries it up. So you still have a chance. It's not heavy, and it shouldn't be heavy in general, because the amounts are only a couple hundredths at most for the entire 6-hour window before it turns over to snow anyway. So that's some slightly good news for you, but just be careful, because I can't promise you. Just take it slow. Okay, so let's do the model data for you guys down there and into Arkansas. Let's go back to here. All right, where did I have you guys at? All right, we'll do this one first. Okay, so here we go out west of Dallas. You can see the light precipitation breaking out. It's 5 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning. You start to get 8 o'clock, a little bit of light precipitation out here in the Fort Worth region, just toward Weatherford. And the model's indicating a little pink color because they've got you at 31 degrees, the dew point at 26, and a warm nose here for a little bit of freezing rain drizzle. Probably get a little bit of, I would say some sleet mixed in, but that's a pretty good warm nose. So you should not get sleet with that. You should have mostly just freezing rain, but you can tell you go just a hair back to your west, it turns purple, which means your sleet's not too far away in this. So if you live on the west side of the Metroplex, tomorrow morning, drive time, yeah, there could be some slippery bridges and overpasses just briefly. As we head to 11 o'clock and to noon, same kind of idea. The freezing line seems to be putting the brakes on Dallas-Fort Worth, and it's cutting the Metroplex in half. So if we go here to west side into Fort Worth, downtown area, looks like your profile, it's right on the cusp of 32 degrees with a wet bulb temperature. So it's just it's a very marginal touch and go, skin of your teeth deal. So you may want to be careful. Whereas on the east side for Dallas, for example, let's see, it's got you at 35 or 29, so your dew point depression's at 33, and it's got you just as rain, like very cold rain. But that's cut it pretty close, and we're, of course, splitting hairs, literally, just on the one model. So you want to make sure you just be careful down there. You can see the sleet does move through, though, so even though Dallas is a little slow at cooling down, the atmosphere eventually does and brings you the little sleet and freezing rain mixture during the afternoon. And then that moves on off to the east through Tyler and northeastern Texas. Nice snow up toward Texarkana and southwestern Arkansas, and even up towards Shreveport. So how about that? We can take a look at your amounts for totals down there, and we'll see what the model blend seems to indicate for you. Interesting. Doesn't have you a whole lot as far as the ice, little light coating of ice or anything goes. Now, I would have to argue with that considering the output it just showed me. But that's standard. So I wouldn't expect anything heavy, but enough to maybe cause some slippery bridges and overpasses. So be careful down there with regards to that. And then snowfall amounts, if we just look at the average model data, doesn't go very high for you. It only goes just to dusting of snow. Can we do better than that, though? Ugh, that's really sad. Let me, what else do we have? Let me go down south with this guy and switch over. Let me give you some hope. See if there's any hope down there. Not much hope. The measurable snow is barely to you and then just to your north. So you're right on the cusp. The models are not excited about it. It's just a little bit to maybe cause some problems for a few hours. So, but otherwise, you're not going to have anything to play in. Let's put it that way. All right, so that takes care of Dallas. We are now going to go to Arkansas because I know there was a request there. Okay, so Arkansas has some hot spots here in the 2 to 3 inch range based off of orographic lifting, favorable areas where you normally would get snow through Little Rock, and this of course will last through the afternoon into the early evening hours. So that's where you guys get most of your snow. Will be after probably 3 o'clock, and we can take a look at this also for the average totals from other models, and they're a lot lamer. Remember, this is pretty conservative. Even within this, it's got 1 to 2 here, just west of Little Rock, this little stretch. As far as any ice goes, it never did have much for you guys. It's got this little sweet spot up here in northwest Arkansas, north of Russellville, close to Fayetteville. And so watch out for slippery spots there. Otherwise, of course, the snow itself will be a little slippery. Let's see here. And then we can do the timing on the snow. So let's go over here. See how you look. And then since I'm doing you guys, I might as well do Kansas and Missouri. And then we'll call it. All right, so here is 12 o'clock. So we're northwestern Arkansas for a little bit of that snow. And then here's 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. So there you go. The big heavy stuff comes in around 2 to 3 and then kind of moves across the state during the afternoon. Here's 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11, and it's finally out of your state by around midnight. So there you go. So looks like a nice snowy afternoon. So that's some pretty decent returns. So I don't like that light map for you guys. I like the heavier map, widespread 1 to 2, with pockets of 3 to 4. That's what I like for you guys there in Arkansas. Okay, so let's go to up the road in Missouri and see what you guys got in store. So there's your snow out there currently from Clinton to Columbia. Oh, and then we got a little secondary round because that moves off. Secondary round comes in late morning to lunchtime. They're in southern Missouri, and that quickly moves by during the afternoon. So this little guy from Springfield eastward, and that's about it for you. Let's see what that does. Any ice or snow totals? All right, so a little bit of light glazing on the roadways again there for the same stretch along 44. All right, and then the snowfall totals. It really likes that first wave up to the north, but it doesn't do much here for this second wave. And I don't like this data. I think that's bogus. So let's go to the other one. Where was I at for that? Yeah, that was this one. So let's go. It didn't do a whole lot much either. That's really sad. About an inch in most areas here on that southern stretch for that secondary wave. So sorry guys, if you're wanting a lot more snow, that first wave is going to do it. The second wave is not going to do a whole lot for you. All right, finally, let's go over to Kansas. All right, so Kansas, it's so ridiculous. So ridiculous. Let me show you something. You see this right here? You see what this is? This is snow. See this report right here? 1.3 inches of snow in Wichita. Okay. Let me show you this model for snow output. Do you see any snow here? This is so bad. Are you serious? God, it is so bad. I mean, look, this is what I got to deal with. This is, so I mean, anybody can pull up a model and go, oh yeah, look what it says. And then sometimes, man, they are so far out to lunch, and they can be good in other areas. That's what's the frustrating part. It completely miss one region, but then nail it in the other one. Even the high res model, the short term, is supposed to be one of our better ones. Hey, at least it does have an inch west and a half inch here to 1 inch in Wichita, so it almost knows what's going on. That's just bad, dude. All right, that's enough of that nonsense. Let me see if the model blend will do us any good. We'll just factor them all in, because that was really sad. The model blend didn't do much better. 1 inches east. So I guess the takeaway could be is that this system is going to produce a little bit more snow than even what the models think currently at 10 o'clock on a Thursday night, right just a few hours before the system starts, or is even currently underway, depending on where you live. So anyway, so the southern Kansas, obviously you're going to get a lot more than just nothing. So you've already got an inch, like I said, inch and a half on that particular measurement up here. So there'll be other measurements that come in this area for more snow. So it's measurable as this little wave starts to move through. And then again, like I said, down here in western Oklahoma, we're just now starting to see some more of those echoes showing up for some light snow there. Okay, so I covered all the surrounding states. I covered your amounts. I covered the time. I think that was everybody's questions I had. Let's see. Let me go back to YouTube here real quick. So, Debbie, yeah, the road crews are always going to be out. Anytime there was or is a storm system in the forecast, they're going to be on it. And they'll have their crews sitting by waiting. And then once it gets to a certain level, they'll go out there and spread the sand. And if they got to do some scraping, they'll do some scraping. And I've seen it to where they're scraping concrete. There's sparks flying because there's so little precipitation. But they're out there, they're doing it, and they're covering it, right? So it is what it is. Okay, let me go to back to Facebook here. Let me look here real quick. By the way, again, thank you for the stars. I see you, Leslie, Mary, Tabitha, Heather, and Craig, Morgan, Sibo. Nice name. If I said that right. I haven't seen that before. Rachel, Robert, Ina, thank you. Let's see here. Oh, I'm sure there'll be some schools closed for tomorrow, and of course, I think spring break starts anyways. So, okay, close that. Let's see. I think that was my work calling to let me know that they're closed. So the closings have begun. Weatherford, north of Custer City in the morning. Donna, yep. Sure enough. Lawton, yep. Kim, let's see, in Choctaw, yep. All that, my yep means snow, by the way. Let's see, what else we got? A lot of comments tonight, by the way. Thank you for that. Let's see. Okay. Oh, yeah. Carol wants to know severe weather next week. I did promise that, didn't I? And then I got sidetracked. Okay, so let's do next week. Look at the data for that storm system that comes in on Wednesday for severe weather. So let's do that. Better do this one. Better call Saul. All right. First off, I gotta go. So, a little secret for me is when it comes time to looking at the weather, the first map I typically look at is the jet stream at 500 millibars because it shows me the storm systems that come through. And then from that, I can infer what happens down below, knowing what's happening in the middle of the atmosphere. So we'll go to the second one here. So there's that guy moving in. It's got a nice little closed low appearance right over Oklahoma on Monday. And I know we were hurting for moisture prior to this, but with those winds cranking out of the south and this thing deepening on top of us, it should be able to squeeze out whatever it can. And I'm going to show you that actually, because this was the program that crashed on me earlier. Let me look here. So let's go to this guy. Okay. So yeah, if we look at, now this is the timeline from right to left. Okay, so this is our first event here we're talking about. This is all the snowfall that measures in this 8-hour, 10-hour window. And then we have all this lift here in red, right? And we got this moisture starting to show up here all the way down the surface. So this is the next storm system that is just cranking with the lift in the atmosphere, but it's moisture starved. Because look, while all this lift is going on, there's no green on this map for Sunday evening into Monday morning. I mean, bone dry. So eventually, we're going to squeeze out the moisture, and then it's going to fall in the form of rainfall. But unfortunately, because it's so moisture starved, it doesn't do much. It only, what does it print out here? A tenth maybe? No, 100th. 100th of an inch of precipitation. That's nothing. Now, I do expect as we get closer to it, it'll latch on a little bit better, and it'll probably go a little higher on the precip amounts, maybe a tenth of an inch or so. But right now, that's the system for Monday, and that's not a severe weather maker. That's just a hopefully a little bit of light rain maker. Let me see. This thing go farther. Yeah, let's see. That's Wednesday. It's not going to cover it. Okay, so let's go back to the other map. So we'll get done with that one, and then we'll move into. Oh, here's that one for Thursday. So it comes through like this, a little flat, not very deep. It's got a lot of lift with it, though. The brighter the color indicates lift in the atmosphere. The timeline looks like it's pretty good. Comes in for Thursday afternoon. Let's see what it looks like on the sounding. We are still starved for moisture with this one as well. So in other words, the depression, the difference between the temperature in red and the green here, and the moisture. So the temperature and the moisture profile, these two are too far apart. So that they barely get close here in the middle, around 12,000 feet. But then as you go all the way up, they're dry, and down below they're dry. So that's not a very good sign of some rain and or thunderstorms. All right, let's go to the next one. There's a little guy there quickly on the heels of the first one, but usually once the first one goes by, it clears you out for the second one if they're moving too fast. And then we've got a big one right here. Look at this guy coming in. Woo! All right, so that's on the 21st of March. Let's see here. But it's coming in at the wrong time. So most of the lift, even though you see the red in the blue and purple, indicating tremendous amount of lift for this system. And the upper low is centered right here over Colorado. So what you have here is you get this fanning approach, right? Well, on the fanning approach, most of your storms will be in this little quadrant of the fan. Now this is Monday morning, and it's already favored to be north and east of us. So that means by Monday afternoon, we would have our best daytime heating, etc. Things would get going. You see the system's already moving through central Oklahoma, and so now your best fan and best moisture source for instability and shear and all that kind of stuff is kind of like in this region now. So we kind of missed the boat. So if this trend continues and this same timeline continues, we get hosed as far as getting severe weather. Which, of course, if you don't want severe weather, that's, positive. So we'll look to see if we can't get a little bit of light rain out of it, though. So let's see, that thing kind of sits there and wraps up, and then it moves off. Boy, to tell you what, this is a pretty lame pattern for March kickoff of severe weather. Not complaining, just making a statement. All right, let's go to the precipitation type. Remember, we're just looking at one model. It's the GFS model. And we're going to see just what its output is. And there's a lot of other models we can look at, but we're looking long range, so we'll take what we can get. Okay, so here is, let's see here, Monday. Okay, so here's Monday afternoon. Remember I told you it's kind of bone dry here in central Oklahoma at that low coming through. Eastern Oklahoma's got a little bit better moisture. So it looks like there's some good potent showers, even a couple of thunderstorms there for the Tulsa area. If I were to put a forecast sounding up there for those guys, let's see what we got. Marginal severe, but it's got some really decent shear for some decent turning with height, but it's only 54 degrees over 52. That should be a lame event. All right, let's go onward. Let's go to Thursday afternoon. All right, well, that looks like that's a pretty lame event. But we kind of mentioned that too. It was moisture starved. So now we're going to go long term and go to that big event on the 21st. Okay, so let's go to the 21st. There's the morning. Remember, our best lift was in the morning hours, quickly moving away. Remember I showed you that box? And look what happens. So there's the box here where you got the best instability and moisture coming in. And that's in the morning hours. And then so we get a little bit of light rain. Look what happens. We get dry slotted. There's afternoon. We get nothing. And then all the, what would be severe weather, etc., is now pressed off to the east for northern Arkansas, Missouri, maybe southern Iowa, even some big heavy snow, maybe some blizzard-like conditions up here in South Dakota and northwestern Nebraska around the backside of this upper level low. So that'll be a good winter storm maker there for the central and northern plains. It's just the timing isn't going to go well for us for significant storm activity and or decent rainfall. Then after that, nothing through the 26th. So there's your little sneak peek, long range. Now, I will tell you this. Where's my grain of salt? So, we're out there in the crystal ball area where it gets a little cloudy sometimes when you're trying to go out 3 weeks or 2 weeks. So, and when the pattern starts to change and gets very animated, things will quickly fall in line and switch on a dime. So right now it looks pretty calm and tame, but we'll see what happens with time. For right now anyway, looks like things are pretty good here in the short term. Let me see here. Okay, so Donna's wanting to know she needs to cancel her appointment. So listen, Donna, listen, come here. Closer. I want you right here. I'm going to show you this again. Actually, you may have missed it earlier. And this is why. This I got to tell everybody. Because I get these questions all the time. How does it look in my fill-in-the-blank backyard, right? See this map here? Oklahoma road conditions. You can get this on my website, aarontotalweather.com. You can also access that through my weather app, AT's Weather to Go. But go to the Weather Data tab down here where it says Multi-State Road Conditions. So scrolling down, and you'll see Oklahoma. And look here. We already have some trouble out here in the Panhandle. And you can click on this little image, and you can blow it up, and it'll show you where the inclement weather is. It'll show you the crews, show you how the roads look, and look at this snow-covered road up here into northwestern Oklahoma. And put the little legend on here equals click line for highway road conditions. So this means it's in the severe. All right, so you have moderate, severe, closed, delays, closed, all that kind of stuff. So it tells you that the slippery conditions have already started here in this part of the state. And this will light up like a Christmas tree tonight into tomorrow morning. And you'll be able to click on any of these little icons to see what the road conditions look like. So we'll pick this guy over here, north of Chandler. He's a crew, right, sitting there ready to clear the roads out. And if you notice, the roads are dry, and so he's just hanging out. So that's what happens there. If you go down here to this map across the state, and of course, obviously in the densely populated areas like around the metros, you're going to have a lot more cameras to click on. But you will occasionally get other cameras across the state as long as they're up and running. Like this one here near Orlando. I don't know if it's going to run. Oh, it is. So it shows you traffic is zipping along right now on I-35. So that is your best guess as well to seeing real live traffic moving along. And you can move this across any part of the state, click on any of these cameras, etc. And you can do this for the other states. So you can do it for Kansas. Their network is on here. You can do it for Missouri. Theirs is on here. You can do it for Texas. Theirs is on here. And then there's a link here for Arkansas. You can click on that one, do the same thing. And then there's your little tips where you can get some information to put in your car or get your car ready. And more importantly, here are some phone numbers you can call. So all that's found on my website, aarontutherweather.com, and that'll get you squared away. So I've been showing that a lot over the winter, and a lot of people have gone to it according to my analytics. So apparently it's a very popular page, which I don't blame you, because if I had all this at my fingertips and I could do it just like that, I would definitely use it. All right, so let me check one more look at radar here in the Oklahoma City and Tulsa area. We'll see if anything's picked up. So in Tulsa and surrounding regions, these light reflectivity echoes continue to develop and get bigger. So it means we're slowly moistening up this lower level of the atmosphere to where we're going to start to get some of these sprinkles coming out and some drizzle forming. So be careful on the roadways here from this point forward. Once it starts, it starts. Same thing here in northern Oklahoma, starting to get a little more lighter activity in the atmosphere as far as these little speckles on the radar. And we talked about the heavier snow right now is in southern Kansas at this point in time for the beginning of this wave. But we're going to have more of it fill in all back here in western Oklahoma. It's already trying to out here now. So that will continue through the overnight period. So the event is just now getting started. So there you go. So this event isn't one that's going to cause power outages. It's simply one that's just more of a nuisance and a headache for traveling and plans, that kind of stuff. But that's it. I can't tell you anything more that I haven't already told you. There's nothing more to say. This stuff will wrap up by tomorrow afternoon. If you're late, it'll be mostly snow, very touch of little light freezing drizzle and light freezing rain overnight tonight. Maybe a little sleet thrown in, but very, very light amounts, only a couple hundreds. Just enough to kind of get some of the roadways a little slick for you. So be careful of that. Otherwise, of course, the snow will make it a little slick. But, some people can drive in the snow. So if you're one of those, just be careful, but have at it. I will do a live tomorrow morning around 11:30, 11:45, somewhere in there. And we'll take a look at how things look with the weather. We'll see if the snow's starting to wrap up by then and how much we've had and all that kind of stuff. So you guys sleep well, stay warm, and we'll do all this again soon. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks again for your support. See you tomorrow.